Hello and welcome to the 3D printed classroom. In my previous video I showed how you can print real life models to scale to give students an idea of the scope and magnitude of real life objects. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to print things to scale. Well, if you're like me, sometimes you make 3D printing mistakes. And I printed the Colosseum in my previous video first as an example of ancient architecture. And as I explored more online at Thingiverse and My Mini Factory, I began to find more and more examples of ancient architecture that I wanted to bring in. Now, I wasn't willing to reprint the Colosseum. I didn't want to go through that whole process. It was a fairly long print, and I wanted to keep moving forward so that all of the prints would be ready for my class. And so I used that more complex method to match the other structures to that benchmark. And in this case, I printed these structures to match this benchmark. So if I want to print things to scale, I have to make sure that they, all of the numbers communicate with each other. And so in the United States we use the imperial system, so we have feet and yards and inches, and most of the world and most CAD programs and slicers are using the metric system. And so we need to be able to convert, if we're talking about statues or monuments, we have to convert the imperial system to the metric system. And so for this I'm going to be converting feet to millimeters. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to figure out how many millimeters are in 1 foot. And it so happens that there are 304 and 8/10 millimeters per foot. Now what we do when we have this information is that we will divide 1 by 304 and 8/10. And that gives us 328 10,000ths. This number is the most important because if we want to convert any amount of feet into millimeters, we'll have to divide it by that number. And so what I'm starting off with for my scale is this 3D model of a casual man. The man has hands in his pockets, he's got 1 foot out, he's looking very smart and easygoing. I'm going to assume that this is a model of a 6 foot tall person. And so if I want to know how many millimeters are in a 6 foot tall person, I will do 6 divided by 328 10,000ths. And when I do that, 1,829 millimeters. Now I have my magic number. I have the height of a 6 foot tall person in millimeters. And now I actually have the height of this file, and the height of that file is 36 and 396 thousandths. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to take that height of my casual male and I'm going to divide it by the height in millimeters of a 6 foot tall person. So 1,829. And what that gives me is 0.019 rounded to the nearest thousandth. So this becomes my second most important number. Instead of resetting my blackboard, I'm going to attempt to write on this side with my left hand. It's very, very difficult. So 0.019 and 328 hundred thousandths are my two most important numbers. So I want to scale two objects to this casual man. And I've decided on the Lincoln Memorial and the Martin Luther King Memorial. So I've decided on those because in literacy we're going to be talking about citizenship, and those two men were great citizens and they did great things for people other than themselves. So I thought that those would be some great memorials to talk about what it means to be a citizen and the responsibilities that people have when they're citizens of a society. And so we have the Martin Luther King Memorial. That is 30 feet tall, according to Google. And so what I'm going to be doing is I have to first convert the 30 feet to millimeters. And so in order to do that, I am going to divide that by 328 hundred thousandths. This is much more difficult than it looks. And so that gives us, I'm just going to use my cheat sheets. I've done all of the math already, and I was trying to hide it on the table. I'm not going to try to do that anymore. And so what that gives us is 9,146 and 34 hundredths. That is how many millimeters are in a 30-foot statue. But we don't just need it in millimeters, we need it to scale with our little fellow here. And so again, now we're going to be doing a multiplication. And I'm going to take the millimeters, 9,146 and 34 hundredths. I'm going to multiply that by 19 thousandths. And we get a total height of 173.78 hundredths millimeter. So a 30-foot tall statue of the memorial of Martin Luther King is going to be printed at a height of 173 and 78 hundredths millimeter. Now, up next is we have, you know what, up next I have the 19-foot statue of the Lincoln Memorial. Again, I'm going to do 19 divided by 328 hundred thousandths. And so that's going to give me 5,792 and 68 hundredths millimeters. Again, this is the number of millimeters for the real life statue. I want that put into scale with casual mail. That could be a title of a video, into scale with casual mail. And so we're going to take that 5,792 and 68 hundredths, and we're going to multiply it by 19 thousandths. And that gives us a total height of 110 and 6 hundredths millimeter. And so now we have all of our heights. We have our benchmark, which is the height of casual mail. We have the height of our model of the Martin Luther King Memorial, and we have the height of our model for the Lincoln Memorial. Next up, the next step that we need to do is we need to choose our files, import them into whatever slicer we're using, and scale them in that program. So now we've made everything to scale, and I have printed everything out. I have casual mail here from before, and now I can compare it to my printed out Martin Luther King Memorial. And so if we look, we have our 6-foot tall person, and we have our 30-foot tall statue. And so roughly speaking, I should be able to, if I stacked those up, about 5 of them, this should be about 1/5 the size of the total statue. And to me, it looks pretty close to being 1/5. Beside that, we have our 19-foot tall statue of Abraham Lincoln. All right, so there you have it, a quick explanation on how to convert feet into millimeters so that you can print real-life objects to scale. I hope this video has been informative and helpful to you and to your classroom. If you want to see some of my other uses for 3D printing in the classroom, you can check out my other videos, 3D printed math, 3D printed science, and 3D printed social studies. If you want to see more of my videos, please hit subscribe, and if you have anything to say, leave a comment below. Thank you.